Wizards. Welcome to episode 3 of the Crypto Wizard podcast. Now, guys, I hope you are having a good weekend so far. And first and foremost, a happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. If not, happy Mother's Day to all of you anyway. Hope you guys are having a nice day with your family. Regardless, it should be a weekend to kick back and relax anyway. Unfortunately, due to several work discrepancies, I am having to do many other things except spend some time with my family this weekend. However, I will make up for it next week. And again, providing content and sharing time with the family is always good to be balanced. So let's jump straight into it and have a little look at CoinMarketCap, because there's a pretty key topic I want to be covering in this podcast, and that is why the market isn't necessarily rising right now. Now, it's actually not going to be regarding the CME futures and the CBOE aspect or any of that kind of price suppression, because we already know that is one of the key underlying features. But the more I've been thinking about it over the past few weeks and getting questions, a good example, the World Bank subject I'll get into in a minute with XRP, or the hacking scandals, or the good news and the bad news. There's always a yin and yang effect. Now, when the good news comes out, I'm always being asked, why isn't the market rising? All of the worst thing I always hear, and it is quite annoying, to be honest with you. The question is, why is all of this good news coming out, but price still isn't moving? That's because this does not work upon news. We are past that era. That era is gone. That was the era of when Coinbase would announce a listing and price would then jump 200%. A good example would be the Bitcoin Cash listing. Again, all this insider trading, manipulation, all of this stuff can dictate the market. Sorry, what an early mistake to make this time. However, that is now beyond us. The market has matured ever so slightly, and we are beyond all of that hype and drama. That's why Justin Sun is now actually being semi-laughed at and not being taken seriously after almost being the boy who cried wolf way too many times. And again, I have tried to give Tron so much, I guess you could say, just interest, and I've tried to find that little niche, and I like how they're bringing interest to the market. I like how Justin Sun is helping the market grow. I love it. It's great because he is bringing interest. He is bringing adoption. He is bringing capital to the market, but I do believe it's for the wrong intentions. And interlinking with the likes of USDT, again, very questionable because it's not the most respected or authentic project slash business slash stable coin in this market. So there are many questionable matters in this market, and Justin Sun, for me, even though he is now significantly announcing Tesla giveaways or raffles to a conference and changing his mind last minute, what's happening is the market is not really reacting to this anymore. And if anything, sometimes the bad news provides better news, which is why sometimes it's good to erase logic from this market, because there is no logic. It's irrational. It's insane. So if you're ever sitting there wondering, oh my God, Ripple's just, World Bank have just promoted Ripple, or Western Union have switched to Stellar, or Tron is going to give away 10 billion to the world. Why isn't price jumping? Why is Ethereum suddenly growing in uses? Why are these dApps suddenly thriving, but yet price isn't rising? That's because price is controlled by a much different underlying agenda. And besides the governmental manipulation and control and suppression, especially from Wall Street as well, there are actual factors in play. And what you're probably going to realize very soon, I haven't slept in 3 days, to be honest with you. It's been like 3 hours worth of sleep in 3 days. I must have insomnia or something, but I'll get onto that later as well. That's another subject where it isn't so much a problem. It's more actually my drive that's pushing me forward in this direction. But getting onto that subject as well, what I've been thinking over these past few days, I've just been sitting there thinking. I love just thinking things through. When you guys DM me or you message me and you ask me questions or you tweet me, I do sit there often like those lonely women who have just broken up with their boyfriends, or just with like a tub of ice cream in bed, just looking at the ceiling. And I kind of just have these feelings to myself, and I just think things through. Why is the world like this? Why is this happening? Why is that going wrong? Why is there a disaster over there? It's like all these things come into my head, and if I'm not evaluating the human consciousness as a whole, I'm normally evaluating the whole economy in the world and why certain things are happening. So I have actually come to a very simple equation and answer to why the crypto market necessarily isn't growing in a magnitude that it hasn't. So we'll get to that in a minute. I just wanted to summarize a little bit about what I'm going to be bringing forward in this podcast. But first of all, let's get into the market itself, and of course, the beloved, most hated CoinMarketCap. So First of all, the only statistics I will be using from CoinMarketCap, as you know, are the BTC dominant statistics and the overall percentage change, because it's nice and easy. And what we'll actually do is we'll compare this to Yahoo in a minute to get an overall rounded figure. So the BTC dominance, Lord and behold, is now back below the 50.4 barrier, now dropping down to 50.2%. Amazing to see, and it's very well reflected in the market right now, to be honest with you. I mean, CoinMarketCap showing Bitcoin at a 0.32% gain, whereas Ethereum is down 0.4%, XRP is down 1%, EOS down 0.3%, Litecoin down 0.4%, Bitcoin Cash not too bad, to be fair, pretty much break even around 0.2%. But my God, Binance Coin yet again up 4% today, pushing that $17 barrier. So a bit like what I covered in the prior Wizard Wednesdays and what I covered in yesterday's market breakdown as well. If you guys haven't already seen that in the free Crypto Wizard Telegram, looking at Binance Coin right now is going to lead me even further once again to the topic that we will be covering later, but utility. There's no coincidence that the coin that's being used the most is now thriving the most. Now, I'm not saying it has the most capital, it has the best use case in the world, but it's being used. It's the utility that is just pushing this thing higher and higher and higher. And again, even I'm a bit questionable about Binance right now. This whole Launchpad thing with the ICOs and all of these new ventures. Launchpad, there has been a lot of suspicion around it. So I want to do a bit more research into that as well. But again, it's one of those things where I do believe with these altcoins now slightly breaking away, there is no longer a peg. I mean, if you were in the Telegram the other day when I said the XRP would fall, you may have noticed BTC and Ether didn't fall ahead of the market. It actually rose. And then XRP waited a day or two before finally catching up. Now, Bitcoin is now taking the lead again, and I do believe Bitcoin may be one of the first ones to fall, where Ether and XRP will then follow. Because moving on to that subject as well, where is this market going? Again, I've covered this many times now in terms of the short-term, medium-term, and long-term targets, and I do believe there is going to be a very sharp downside drop in this market before we see a very sharp spike upwards. I believe this will be one of those final pushes for theoretically a downside push for BTC, which could even breach $3,500. Again, remaining conservative, I do believe BTC should see around $3,600 very soon. And I believe this could peak down to around $3,300. I know it sounds insane. That's $1,000 and more. However, I do believe that could potentially come through very soon. And looking at the market overall right now, there is a massive weakness in this market. And besides the upside spikes and the huge volatile manipulative spikes going through resistance levels of around 4,200, the market weakness is very evident. And any kind of surge we're going to see, I believe, will be very short-lived. I do not expect this to be a market surge right now. And carrying on from yesterday's market breakdown, again, I posted that at like 12 a.m. midnight. That was like 30 minutes long. I don't know where I get this energy from. I've actually cut out caffeine as well from my diet. I'm trying to cut it out for a week because I live on 5 to 6 cups of just pure black coffee a day, plus espressos, plus those herbs. You guys know about the herbs, the Interstellar blends. Again, I'm not promoting the company, but the Interstellar blends, there's the Trinity and the Nebula pack, and they are absolutely mind-blowing / life-changing. I mean, these herbs, blends of herbs and spices from all over the world. So again, not promoting, I have nothing to do with the company, but they elevate your mindset, your physical body, how it responds to exercise, and just there's so many crazy things it does to the mind. And I've decided to just go cold turkey because, again, with a lot of stress in life and working overtime and not sleeping, I've realized caffeine can be very detrimental to your health overall, especially when combined with a lack of sleep. And plus, even staring at the charts all day, it is technically giving me insomnia the more I think about it. So going cold turkey, really stripping away all of these external substances that I do not need. Your body provides enough natural energy as long as you are getting adequate rest, and it's time to go back to those natural roots. And again, if you are in a similar situation to me, I do suggest just going cold turkey. If you can just be bold and take that decision and go cold turkey, the benefits will be much more rewarding. And again, once you get through the migraines and all these crazy side effects and what they call withdrawal symptoms, once you get through those, you will be in a much better position overall. But going over to BTC once again, sorry, I love to talk, people. So BTC right now, looking at where it could fall to, first of all, just some very low level targets, looking at least $4,000 give or take. for a quick downside push. I do believe that could come through. We're at a major trend line right now on the daily and weekly time frame, and it is the third bounce of this trend line, which I do believe is going to hold very significantly. Do be cautious, of course, those upside spikes, potentially even breaching to around 3,300, 4,350, my apologies. But I do believe it will be short-lived, and it will be a very sharp downside spike, which will inevitably trick all of the people that are looking for a very bullish breakout right now. So it's not to say that the market will not break out bullish, and I will be wrong, as nobody knows 100% what this market will do, but you have to use the patterns of the market, and we're going to get into the news articles in a second as well, have a little roundup on the market. But what I'm looking at right now in the market is news articles consistently. There's this reoccurring theme. The market jumps literally 3%. Next thing you know, you're getting slapped in the face and sucker punched by media outlets, cryptocurrency media outlets, that is, with all of these articles. Bitcoin 50k next, Bitcoin 100k next. Expert analyst predicts 100,000 BTC by end of 2019. And you kind of look into these articles and I'm just thinking, well, first of all, who the fuck is this expert analyst? I've never heard of him before. It's very easy to say expert analyst for someone who has no real credibility. And again, you can be they never really, if you actually read into these articles and do the research on these analysts, they're never really even analysts for the crypto market. They're either stock analysts or they're just random like YouTubers. It can actually get that insane. So always take these news articles with a pinch of salt, because there is a massive agenda in line with Wall Street, governments, banks, and of course these crypto media outlets. Not just that, but the miners and the actual whales. There is a huge insider trading aspect to this. It's been caught out recently. Again, Nigel Farage with Brexit, have to throw that in there because it's a reoccurring theme now. And cryptocurrency is 100 times more manipulated right now, especially in these unregulated waters compared to the likes of other markets, which there is a lot of manipulation. But again, slap on the wrist, you pay the fine, several hundred million, you get away with your extra few million, 100 million profit, you carry on with your day. However, in the wild, wild west of the cryptocurrency market, there is no need to really back off right now, because besides ICO scams and actual fraud, insider trading is not necessarily being targeted right now, because there are bigger factors at play for the regulators to worry about. Insider trading is pretty much what's driving this market right now, to be honest with you, plus the futures. So if you actually got rid of that regulation right now, if you actually put the regulation down, and try to remove the manipulative aspect to this market, I do believe a lot of the price action would diminish fairly quickly as well. So something to take into consideration on that aspect as well. But the news articles right now, reoccurring theme, guys. Market goes up 5%. Bullish articles flood the market. What happens straight after that? The market fucking dies at 10% instead. Price starts falling. Oh my god, the bullish rally over. Bears can take control. Is this the end of crypto? Is this the end of Bitcoin? Reoccurring every single time. And it's just made me more cautious. I wouldn't necessarily say anxiety or whatever, but it has made me cautious of what to believe in this market. That is why I have become more hesitant and more cautious and more watchful of the market, because I make last minute decisions now in this market, because I realize what was once a bullish move is very quickly about to become a bearish move, vice versa. The market is here to throw tricks on you right now. And even just looking at this BTC chart as I'm talking to you all, I'm looking at these huge bullish surges that many people would see and immediately insinuate to become a next bull run or another bullish surge, but they're very short-lived. And right now Bitcoin is trading between a barrier of around 3,300 to 4,200, so we're trading give or take within a $1,000 range approximately, if you remove all the wicks and all the mess. So whatever you're looking at, even $1,000 move from the upside to the downside doesn't really mean anything, because that's the range Bitcoin is stuck between right now. So there isn't a breakout necessarily, so to speak. Right now, it's at the major resistance of that level of the range-bound market we're currently in, from a daily and weekly perspective onwards. And on the lower end of that spectrum, which is what I believe price will touch before breaking through and rocketing, is the $3,300 region. Like, that could literally be the peak before it rallies to the upside. But then again, from that point onwards, I believe it will be short-lived. Price will then correct all the way back down, and I do believe Bitcoin by the end of the year could even fall slightly lower than that. But That's another story and a case to cover once we get to that period. I first need to see if Bitcoin can see a very sharp drop downwards. And looking at how this market has behaved before, this could take a matter of, let's just say, 5 to 7 days to actually drop all the way back down to 3,300 should it come through. So looking at that overall, and Ether as well, Ether's looking fairly bearish right now, rejecting a major zone that was covered in the Wizard Wednesdays. XRP being quite volatile, quite choppy, spiking to a few levels that were anticipated. And again, I do believe there is going to be a sharp downside movement on that as well before we see the inevitable upside rocket ship. So going over to Yahoo Finance, let me just quickly refresh this and quickly refresh CoinMarketCap. So Bitcoin's down 0.29, and on the Yahoo Finance, which by the way provides the real statistics. So let me show you this. The BTC market cap right now on CoinMarketCap. Now, bearing in mind, we've just found out that the exchange volume is fake, and all of the unregulated exchange volumes are fake. And CoinMarketCap are openly publicizing this to basically lure people and actually manipulate and over assume what the real trading volume actually is, because these exchanges, the trading volume that they are currently providing and showing and presenting is only to entice crypto companies to list their coin on their exchanges. So the more exchange volumes they show, the more they can charge significant fees. And a good point I touched upon on Twitter a while back as well was CoinMarketCap cannot be trusted. During the parabolic bull run of 2017, when XRP began to, it started showing threats that it could overtake Bitcoin, what did CoinMarketCap do? They removed the Korean exchange volumes and the data from the website to make it look like it was not performing as significantly as it actually was. So small but sleazy and unethical scumbag moves like that do not really roll well with me. So I prefer to just use the BTC dominance. And again, there is a site now called OpenMarketCap, which I've publicized on Instagram as well. Make sure you check it out. It's actually real and provides the real statistics. But having a look at BTC on CoinMarketCap, the market cap is 72.3 billion. Going below to Ether, it's 14.8, and XRP is just below 13. So going over to Yahoo, what do we have here? We have a BTC market cap of 55.5 billion. That is a very drastic difference of almost 20 billion. So having a look at just that in consideration, we have XRP's market cap of 23.8 billion versus the 12.9 billion it's providing there. And Ether as well, we're looking at 11.46, which is not too far off, and that is on CoinMarketCap 14.8. So that's not too different. There isn't too much of a significance there, just a little mild tadpole in a very large pond. So looking at that overall, the market is looking to slowly but surely lose that dominance once again, which is helping me gain this overall decision that should we see a very sharp downside drop, the BTC dominance should in theory begin dropping as well alongside this. And then what this could provide is essentially the altcoin rally many of us are anticipating. And looking at BNB as a good example of what these altcoins are capable of, I do believe there could be an altcoin breakout ahead of BTC, but we do need to see that downside and very sharp drop or some form of breakout on either side right now, because right now we're not necessarily in no man's land. We're actually breaching this resistance level, which is a very major level. So to really dictate what happens from here, we need to either break out or we need to drop to the downside. So I am presuming and predicting more on the downside right now, and the next few days should give us a very good telltale sign of what's occurring. So going over to some news, let's see what's happening in the market overall from a grounded perspective. North Korea, beautiful news. I love to hear this stuff. Amassing 670 million in crypto. And again, the article is stating that this proves the US dollar is using. Now, if you do not already know, the US and North Korea are not exactly on the friendliest of terms, and they're likely not Facebook friends either. So what's really been going on is the US overall, as you know, the White House in particular, even the Federal Reserve, they technically are one of the world's leading creditors because the bulk of their reserves are in USD, and that's why most governments choose to hold it in USD as well, because it's large and liquid, and I think it actually accounts for over 60% of the world's reserves as well. So it is pretty much known as the safe and liquid alternative, which is why it's a global, I guess you could say, reserve currency to some extent. So in the hands of obviously the wrong government, this could be used as a weapon, the US dollars that is, and it's pretty standard for the US authorities, aka the White House, to pretty much, what blacklist is the word? That's the word, blacklist, or they just ban in general. They sideline or ban countries that argue with them or do not agree with them, and their mission is to make the economy for that said country a living fucking nightmare. And that's pretty much what's been happening with North Korea. They have been trying to really sanction them and blacklist them from trades with the non-US or even the US allied countries. They are trying to just not allow any form of trading to occur with North Korea, and by banning the US dollar usage has not gone down too well. However, what's been happening is there has been a lot of hackers, North Korean hackers. Now, again, a lot of controversy, and whether or not this is done by the government or not, I would likely take my tinfoil hat guess and say yes. Hacking, investment scams, private data, digital wallets, all that stuff. And what the country has gained in return of this is cryptocurrencies. And to be precise, 670 millions worth overall. So what are they doing with this? Why would they need this? Well, first of all, it is essentially, if we are using the theory that one day a certain crypto or several cryptos could be used as a global reserve currency, it seems like North Korea are betting and hedging to be one of the first in advance to regain power. The same way I believe us as regular cryptocurrencies holders in the near future, as a crypto holder, I do believe we will be rewarded with a very large magnitude of wealth once this really becomes adopted. And I do not believe there will be a need to actually sell back to US dollars. I do believe the US dollar will very soon become worthless, absolutely worthless. And I do also believe as well there will be an additional alternative or some form of asset that is deemed of value in society, and I do believe cryptocurrencies will either be one of those or something we can use to shift over to this said asset, whatever it may be, in the upcoming years. I believe within the next 5 years or so this could very well unfold, as we are already seeing. Don't want to get into this again, but the economic crisis, the recession, is unfolding right now, right before our eyes. Just do the research. These signs are all over and in front of us. But what they also can do, if they are not willing to hold this long, is technically you can sell the crypto back to US dollars. So they have almost essentially found a loophole to bypass the chokehold of the US government and the US authorities, and they are actually able to now kind of get away from essentially issued US dollar and a state independent Bitcoin instead. They are now focusing on a crypto asset they can use to sell back to dollars without the intermediary, without the centralization, without that authority governing their decisions. And I do believe this is a very interesting sign of what could unfold as a potential country war. So there was a book, I forgot what it's called, I think it's called Money Wars or Currency Wars. I think this is pretty much unfolding like that right now. Currency Wars was a great book that I read, and from what I remember about reading that book maybe 2-3 years ago, I actually read that book. That book was one of the books that got me into Ethereum, I believe it was. I was investing in Bitcoin, and I remember there was one chapter. I put down that chapter, I didn't open it. I flipped the page, and it was about Ethereum, and I bought Ethereum around $6, but oh my god, I think if I actually opened that book when I read it, I probably would have bought Ether when it literally just got ICO'd. It was crazy. But yeah, whatever happened, that happened as well. Moving forward, Ethereum longs on that subject as well. They're nearing all-time highs, while shorts close to an all-time low. So Ethereum longs right now, they're reaching a high of around 560,000 F, which is worth around 72 million right now. Whereas Bitcoin longs are reaching around 23,500 BCC, which is around $96 million as well. Now, what I believe this to be, again, these are those bullish articles I'm telling you about. Now, whilst these may be factual, I am still taking these all with a pinch of salt, because why is it so coincidental that all of these articles are now being published left, right, center, especially by CoinDesk and Cointelegraph, arguably some of the biggest crypto news outlets in this space so far, especially on a mainstream level. There are bigger ones, but on a mainstream level, they are not. I guess they are the biggest. But News BTC as well, by the way, guys, great website. I always use them for news. I love what they post. It's not biased. They actually go against the US for once in a while, which is pretty good to see as well, because not that I have anything against the US, but it's good to have someone that actually is a bit more bold to provide better news for the general public as well. So gathering on these Ethereum longs and gathering on the shorts closing, this for me is kind of aiding the theory that there is going to be a huge breakout to the upside very soon. But I do believe that will be pushed down with a very downside movement, because as we are nearing such a major resistance level with all these outlets and all these articles coming out, it's very risky for me. I'm not someone who buys at the highs. I'm not someone that buys at resistance. I'm not someone that sells at support. Very foolish decision to make. It's always wise to sell when price sees a massive surge and to buy when price sees a massive drop. This is just common laws. Of course, it's much easier said than done, but overall, it's not a risk I'm willing to take, combined with all these external factors as well. So getting into some more positives as well. World Bank, of course, they're praising Ripple and XRP right now on XRapid. We do not need to get into that in too much detail, but they are saying the technology could transform cross-border payments, of course, thanks to the distributed ledger technologies. They are saying this is going to drive the industry-wide change. And of course, cross-border payments, they're characterized by fragmentation and opacity. So what goes on here, guys? We are seeing it unfold once again. There's not really much to go into. I don't want to talk too much about Ripple because it just looks like I'm shilling the company. But unfortunately, every time I go onto news articles, it's always about Ripple. So I cannot really help it. It's just the good news that always comes out. But yeah, we already know XRP is setting a staple. And right now, XLM's doing a great job too. So yeah, we cannot complain. The space is growing. But on top of that, there are some dodgy things happening in the world as well, and that is the likes of Bitfum. So they've lost almost 19 million in EOS and XRP in insider theft. Now, guys, I'm pretty sure this is like the fourth time in a matter of a month that Bitfum, or Bithum, however you prefer to say it, have been accused or have fallen into a very sticky situation of some sorts, because they cannot seem to handle their business and their exchange security practices and measures very well. They're saying that suspicious activity, I think it was on the 29th of March, which was 2 days ago now, loads of abnormal withdrawals following detection. Let me just read this. I wrote it down. All funds following this detection were secured via cold wallet storage, while user accounts have been temporarily blocked from making any deposits or withdrawals. So they're claiming it was an insider attack. The exchange took full responsibility for it. To be fair, quite good of them to do that. They only concentrated the security efforts on external attacks, but this appears to have involved insiders. So I guess technically it's of no fault of their own, because you do not expect your own people to do this. However, this is a matter of life. If you're an exchange responsible for multi-millions of humanity's funds in cryptocurrency, you cover all measures and all aspects. This is how the Mt. Gox incident happened. This is how the exchange, I forgot the name of the exchange, but the guy who passed away, the owner of this exchange who somehow lost the keys, I actually do not even believe that story really, but it does go to show that sometimes even the most valuable exchanges, or the exchanges with a lot of volume and high customer bases, they sometimes are not taking the extra measures needed. And I don't think people realize how serious the thefts are in cryptocurrency, because unlike with normal money, where a bank robbery occurs or something occurs, there's normally a trace. But unfortunately in cryptocurrency, there are smarter people than us out there. This is a more complex system. Blockchain overall, even I do not know. I'm not saying even I as if I'm someone major, but I am more trading focused and down to the nitty gritty of the absolute algorithms of smart contracts, etc. And to be honest with you, that's the majority of the crypto market as well. They're more price oriented and crypto oriented versus the actual technical sides and the algorithms and all of those aspects. Now, when you take this into consideration, most of these people do not know the difference between what's secure and what's not. So if they're coming to an exchange, they are trusting you with their life, their hard-earned money. And it's down to the exchanges who should be covering these sides for us, because when crypto does become adopted in mainstream society, the best part is the average consumer, the regular human being, the average citizen will not even realize they are using cryptocurrencies, because it will be embedded into the infrastructure seamlessly. This will be a very natural progression into society. So exchanges should be paving the way for this already. I do not see why they are not taking these extra measures. How many more thefts and scandals and going offline or DDoS attacks can these exchanges handle without realizing it's time to step up their fucking game? So, bit of a serious one for me actually, because even though you should be using a ledger anyway and never storing your money on exchanges, how do you know there's not going to be a day where you just happen to take, let's just say, 500,000 off a ledger? Let's just say we've seen a massive surge. You take 500,000 off a ledger, you send it to the exchange, and the same day they get hacked. How do you even? That's of no fault of your own. It's quite sad, but it's of no fault of your own. And these things are very real. Whenever I go online and read forums, or I was on Reddit, and I literally saw someone post. This is what sparks the idea. Someone literally withdrew from their Nano Ledger S to the exchange, and the same day it was hacked. Like, how the fuck? That is like natural selection at its finest, but that is unfortunately how the world works. So you have to be careful. You really have to be careful. You cannot put your trust into anybody except yourself. And that's not just for crypto, that's for life as well. So I want to get into the subject now very quickly. Not quickly, but I want to get into the subject of why I think this market isn't necessarily growing at a pace that it should be. Now, first of all, we know the main basics: price suppression, manipulation, there's not enough volume. But what else is it? And why did I say in the beginning of this podcast it's our fault? Because it is. We are not using cryptos. In simple terms, we are not using the cryptocurrencies we own. What we have to realize now is, after this bull run, what would actually cause a new bull run now, besides institutional capital, is a whole new wave of fresh capital from speculators. And the banks, the governments, all of this capital needs to be fresh, because what's happening right now is, as the reason CME futures have such a big influence over the market is because they're the only ones consistently just slamming capital and hedging and betting on this market. Whereas me, you, the majority of the world who invested in crypto, especially from 2017 onwards after the bull run, we're still holding. Like, the actual meme hodling is a very real thing. And the problem is, hodling is not contributing to the market. It's not aiding. We are not using our cryptocurrency. We are sitting dormant. They are sitting in wallets. They are sitting on exchanges, but there is no exchanges happening. And the amount of capital that was being used to buy cryptocurrencies in the very beginning is not really equating to what is happening now. The capital now, as we've seen from the fake exchange volume as well, it's not equating to the same momentum, because people have, pardon me, the initial phase of 2017, the surge came in because everyone rushed to buy. It was like a gold mine. Now, all you are seeing is the graveyard left of the very few bones, which I would consider to be the graves of our wallets. They are just there holding, they're sitting dormant. They are waiting to be resurrected by a magical surge and to be watered and grown like a plant. That is essentially how I view our wallets. They are just gravestones right now. Our online addresses, cold storage, offline, online wallets, whatever they may be, they are basically sitting dormant, and that is not contributing to the price. Whereas in 2017, there wasn't really that much institutional interest, but yet speculation alone, and of course the whales, I guess, aided in price, just speculation alone, retail traders brought Bitcoin to $20,000. What do you think happens when you combine that same interest again? More usage. Bearing in mind there wasn't even usage then. Or no, actually there was usage, because ICOs, for example, dApps, when all of this stuff first came out, a lot of money was being transacted via F as well for usage. But the problem is, the reason it's our fault is because we are just using our cryptocurrency to lay there dead. We are not spending. We are not utilizing it. We are not transacting it. It just remains dormant. And the majority of the world is doing this. The more I think about it, I actually spend a lot of my cryptocurrency through different means. There are marketplaces online. There are Visa debit cards you can use now to spend your crypto. Like, you can utilize your cryptocurrency, and you shouldn't be afraid to spend it, because what is the point? How can you expect this space to grow when nobody is making an effort to actually help it grow? We're all sitting here just waiting for price to jump up to get rich and cash out back to fiat, but that defeats the fucking object. Sorry for swearing. It defeats the object. We are literally, this is how I've seen, and especially from having this platform, I'm very fortunate to kind of understand and gain an overall bias. Every single person has the same mind and goal. We sit dormant. We will not use our cryptocurrency. We will not use it for what it's meant to be used for. We will use this as an investment. We'll wait for price to surge, the next parabolic bull run. We're going to cash out. And what are we going to do? What are we going to cash back to? What is everyone thinking? They are thinking fiat currencies. So, yes, you will make a potential significant amount of money, but then what happens from there? Crypto, you just stop using crypto? What's the point in investing? What's the point in wanting this space to grow? How can it grow if you are not contributing to the growth yourself? It's just been something on my mind for a few days now, or even longer actually, to be fair. But it made me realize, as I was spending my money the other day, I was actually spending some crypto. It just made me think, am I one of the only people that is actually doing this right now? Because a good example is Twitch. We're seeing all of these news articles coming out now, like Twitch they've stopped accepting crypto now, even though they accepted it. There are marketplaces, there are all these different retailers that have stopped accepting crypto because nobody is using it. And we're all reading these articles thinking, well, that's terrible, crypto adoption's dying. But what are you doing about it? What are you doing to contribute? What are you doing to actually utilize some of that crypto in your holdings? Why don't you just send it to another exchange? Why you are not even doing transactions? It's staying dormant. So I do actually believe, beside the actual long-term portfolio and your hodling portfolio, you should still be using cryptocurrency, even if it means exchanging to crypto and finding a marketplace. Trust me, using crypto is actually much easier than people expect. And the only problem is nobody has really attempted to use it for everyday uses. Go and get yourself a Visa crypto debit card and go outside and shop. And I promise you, you will never want to use fiat currencies again. I'm pretty much scared and hate using fiat currencies. The beauty is with spending crypto, it almost doesn't feel real. When I make money from BitMEX or trading and I withdraw and I go and spend the crypto, for me, it's like I'm playing GTA. It's as if I've literally just entered a cheat code on my computer to generate a number. Because when it's not money in your actual bank account and when it's not physical cash, we are still looking at this crypto thing as a big, crazy internet money vibe. That's how I kind of view it. So when I actually spend my crypto, I feel better because it's almost as if my real fiat money isn't being touched, because we do need that for the likes of direct debits, for the likes of everyday life, for the likes of expenses, utility, quick usage. But if you want to go shopping, or if you want to go and buy yourself nice clothes or a car, you can use Visa debit cards now that are literally associated with crypto. There's so many platforms that allow this, but not just that. There are crypto marketplaces, there's local bitcoins, there are so many use cases, there's so many ways you can actually use your cryptocurrency. And I just feel that we are not doing enough as a collective to help this space grow. It's very easy for me to say I'm spending and I'm using my cryptocurrency besides just investing, but what about the rest of the world? What about the rest of the world? There is not a joint effort here to grow this space. All we are doing right now is sitting dormant and waiting for gold to strike. We're waiting for the gold at the end of the rainbow, but we are not helping to actually form that rainbow by building the infrastructure. It's the same way you want to build and bridge the wealth gap from ourselves to the global elite, and crypto will do that, but sitting dormant will not do that. The more it's used, the more it grows, the more utility there is. There's a reason that Ether has been frowned upon recently, because the dApps are basically sitting there dormant too. The dApps in themselves are pretty much a graveyard. Like, again, I know Tron's trying to do dApps as well, but they're not being used. It's all good having them, but if they're not being used, they are essentially pointless. So I'm going to end this podcast and leave you on that note, because I do think it's a pretty good thought provoker, and I do believe it's something that everybody does need to consider, because if you are involved in this crypto space, and if you are holding cryptocurrency and it's sitting dormant, it's not doing anything, it's not moving, go out there and spend some, even if it's 2 to 5%. Do not hold all of it. The goal is to accumulate for the future, because very soon you will not need to sell back to fiat. When fiat becomes a very frowned upon and pretty much, I guess you could say, a non-valuable asset in society, cryptocurrency will be there to replace that. But if you're not making the measures right now to even get to grips with how to use it, how to withdraw, how to spend, how to transact to another crypto, how to actually use exchanges, if you are not consistently keeping the blockchain active, then you cannot expect the blockchain to grow. So, my fellow wizards, I will leave you on that note and something to think about. Again, happy Mother's Day. Have a great Sunday. Have a great weekend. Relax, kick back, enjoy yourself, recover, and maybe I will actually sleep this weekend and tonight as well. If not, I refuse to sleep. And actually, before I end, that is why I'm not sleeping. The drive right now, the Crypto Wizard course, the content I'm working on. I'm not going to overhype it. I will not. I want to deliver. What is the word? Is it under promise but over deliver? That's the word. That is what I want to do. But that is why I cannot sleep right now. Even if it's not insomnia, there is a burning desire in me right now to make the best crypto course you have ever seen in the world. And I assure you, it will be exactly that. It will be everything you've asked me for. I have taken notes from DMs spanning 2 years now. Messages, DMs, quotes, anything you guys have messaged me requesting, even if it hasn't been related to a course or content, if it's education, I am providing it, and I'm working on it behind the scenes alongside providing everything I can on the front lines as well. So if you do not see me posting too much one day on the Telegram, just know it's because I am working behind the scenes. But regardless, I'm trying to balance both. I think I'm doing a pretty good job so far. If there's anything you guys need in the meantime, just drop me a message and I will provide more content for you all. So guys, happy Sunday, and I'll see you back in the Telegram and in the next Wizard podcast.